the Manic Street Preachers.
Hello, I'm James Dean Bradfield from the Manic Street Preachers.
And I'm Nicky, and we're having a chat with Alan on Metro Radio.
Now, at the present moment, I'm joined by James and Nicky from the Manic Street Preachers. Hello, fellas.
Hiya.
Howdy.
Good to see you. Now, you are proof that when you get to a certain height in the hierarchy of rock, you don't have to bother how you look. I want to find out everything about you. Where are you from?
Always consistently like that.
Where are you from then?
Well, I'm from Pontefraith, which is 1 mile away from Blackwood,
Right.
in South Wales. So that's kind of, I suppose, for you English lot, discernibly, the nearest place that would be in need to is Caerphilly.
Right, okay. What about you? Where are you from?
Yeah, me and James went to the same school. We've been in the same class in school since we were 5. And Sean, the drummer in the band, is James's cousin. I lived with him, and Richey went to university with me. So we were very good friends before we were bandmates.
It's strange, though, the way that Welsh, particularly bands from Wales, there were none.
Yeah.
Then there were hundreds. It's been amazing how it's, and maybe they were always there, but they're just
It was definitely what you might call a mid-season lull.
Yeah.
At one point, there was a lot of stuff coming out from there. Badfinger were famously, half Welsh. Budgie, a hard rock band from the 70s.
Yeah.
Obviously, you got Tom and Shirley and stuff, and The Alarm. But there was like a mid-season lull where it did seem as if there was nothing coming out of Wales for a while. And then it just exploded again. Perhaps they started putting something back in our water again, I'm not sure.
But the success, our perspective on your band was that first time we heard your name, then you just wouldn't go away. You were there forever.
It's definitely like that. It's kind of my dad was a keen gardener, and he told me about the weeds that were very resistant to weed killer. But no, I think we just I don't know. It was just kind of when we were growing up in Wales, it did seem that there was a lot of turmoil politically and culturally, and I think that just gave us the underdog spirit.
Yeah.
Made us feel as if kind of like we were just fighting the good fight, I suppose, really.
Yeah, but again, my view on it was, as soon as Tolerate happened, and that was certainly the breakthrough as far as I could see, but it must have been for you guys too, that's the big song. It could go one of two ways from this point, which was one hit wonder and the next one would dribble away and we'd never hear from you again. Or maybe there is the root of something that's going to be around for a long, long time. And such it was proven. Did success hit you that hard? I mean, did your life change literally overnight?
I think we were lucky. We come from a generation where a record company did have faith in you.
Yeah.
It took us 4 albums with Design for Life and Everything Must Go. And
yeah, it was
then
great.
Tolerate comes along and we won 4 Brit Awards and Ivan Novellas. But before that, we were just a really big cult band that, hadn't gone overground whatsoever, which was fine. But the record company did have faith. But I don't think that would happen today.
No, certainly not.
I count ourselves lucky that we were from a tradition of building a career. And I think from then on, like I said, because we were so close before we were even in a band, that you just can't have an ego in us, because I know what James was doing when he was 5 years old. And likewise.
Wetting myself.
But the thing, I think from time to time, the way the music business has gone, there's a few people been wetting themselves since. However, the thing about your band is that every time you put an album out, you get about 8 or 9 different flavours all on the same on the same disc, and that's the joy of it.
Yeah, I mean, kind of like I think it's becoming quite evident that we listen to way too much music because I can see my first love was Yellow, Electric Light Orchestra. My first real love. Before that, it was neither Nolan Sisters, but Yellow really. And then I got massively into Tamla Motown for some reason, and then I became a real indie kid, and then it became like a bit of a metal kid, and yeah, it was it's kind of that's why I think that's filtered down into our kind of music. There was never a period from the age of like 13 years of old onwards that I wasn't mad about music, really.
No, but the thing that I've noticed though over the years is that the clarity of what you do at a time when a lot of music isn't clear, where you can't pick out instruments, where it's a smudge rather than an art.
Smudge is a good word.
It is, but that's exactly what it is. Just like everybody just throws it all in. You've always managed to do this thing, and whether it's a loud kind of crowd pleaser or whether it's a ballad, everything's crystal, and the clarity of it is magnificent. And there's very few bands that have managed to achieve that, but you guys are there, man.
Yeah, I think we do take a lot of care in that. We don't just put stuff on there for the sake of it. For instance, an orchestra or string, it's got to work as a part. It's not just a case of padding out a song, you know. And I think you can fall into that trap of just chucking stuff on. And, you know, we're very kind of hard on ourselves, you know. We know that sometimes, you know, you don't make the record that you perhaps should have, and you've got to realise that to make the next one even better.
The thing that I also like about it, though, is that you can listen to the lyrics, and some of it you think, oh, there's politics in this one. Oh, I see what they're getting at. But you could interpret it half a dozen different ways, and I think everybody can stick a hook into that and go with it.
Yeah, I think that the lyric that did achieve that was "Designed for Life."
Oh,
you know,
for sure.
You know, it's kind of that was a song where some people thought it was a drinking song, and some people thought it was a celebration of working class culture. I think that's an achievement, really, in some kind of way. I think.
Yeah, I mean, you know, you have to satisfy yourself. I'm the main lyricist, and you know. As long as I satisfy myself and James and Sean, then people will take whatever. One of the greatest moments was with Tolerate, which was about the Spanish Civil War, was when we played in Barcelona on the La Ramblas, and there's a line in it, you know, I'd walk La Ramblas, and you had all 3,000 Spanish people singing that back to you. You know, that's moments you can never kind of forget.
That's a gift. That is a gift, I tell you. Now, are you, because whenever I've seen you, particularly when I've seen you being interviewed, it's kind of like, oh, here we go again. Here we go again. Are you fulfilled from what you've done? Because we look at what you've done and we think, they are gods, they are talented, we kiss the feet of their talents.
I don't know, so.
But I mean, are you satisfied with progress to date? Because I get the impression that every time you come in, and again, the new single, I think, stunning bit of work, but every time you come to bat, so to speak, with a new album on the horizon, you're super, super confident, you're happy with it. So if people like it, that's great. If they don't like it, stuff them. I mean, that's the impression I get.
I think the bare honest truth of it is that we probably still have an unhealthy ambition. And I think we're just quite competitive people. Perhaps that's rooted in us just being massive sports nerds and stuff. I do think that's affected us a tiny bit. Our psychology, just wanting to win or wanting to show a good account of ourselves, you know. And I still think we just have a deep desire to try and connect with people. And I do think that comes from us, you know, growing up from where we were, you know.
You must know you're doing that.
Sometimes it works better than other times, you know, like Lifeblood. That album didn't really communicate with many people. Well, and when you feel as if you're just talking to yourself, it's not good, you know.
But what you probably fail to realise, though, is that the hardcore Manics fans, and I class myself as one of those, I like that album. I thought it was a good album. So some people will get that, you know.
Yeah,
but you don't necessarily see them in as large numbers.
I think fulfillment with us is a complex thing. Sometimes it is the joy of doing something very harsh, like the Holy Bible, for instance. We don't expect that to be massive or anything, but it fulfills something in all of us. But there is a part of us, because of all the bands we grew up loving, that is just about mass communication. And like Dylan Thomas's famous quote about ambition being critical.
Yeah.
We've always kind of felt that. Sometimes it is unhealthy, I have to be honest with you. Sometimes it can be destructive, but it's probably sustained us over this. I think, you know, we're the longest serving band on Sony, Columbia now. Right. Bar Sade.
Right, okay.
And, you know, she was making records about 10 years before.
I don't particularly want to talk about the new stuff because you just let it loose and you let the public have it.
Yeah.
I want to ask you stupider questions because they're more fun. What's the worst thing that's ever happened to your bodies? Accidents, operations, screaming pain, scars, exploding pus. Tell me what you had.
You're asking the weatherman of pain, you.
I've had a bad run. I
had a
prolapsed disc last year.
Oh, dear.
I was touring on all these painkillers, trying to remember the notes. I've had an operation on my knee because I had to have it all cleaned out. The list goes on. Perhaps the funniest is we were about to do a radio session and James was making himself a sandwich and kind of chopped the top of his finger off.
Yeah.
Shame.
I didn't even feel it, and kind of like I just thought the ketchup bottle had spilled, and I was like, oh god. And then the little kind of sound of like high pitched wasp noise was in my head, like. Zzz. I think the worst thing that happened to me physically in the band was when we were recording Send Away the Tigers in Ireland. There was a gym there, and I just thought, kind of like, just the weights there. So I was on the weights for 2 days, just going, I eat weights, this is easy. And then the third day I woke up in bed and I just couldn't move my arms. I couldn't move them at all. So somebody had to, every time I do the guitar take, somebody had to place the guitar on my lap and then move my arms to the guitar. Overdid it.
What are you frightened of? You got any irrational fears?
Yeah, I'm pretty bad with heights and pretty bad with spiders.
Oh.
Yeah.
Right. Failure for me. I'm very petrified of failure.
It's never happened though, has it?
It has.
No, not recently.
No, but it is something, I don't know why, like I said, but it's something that kind of scares me.
No,
and antiques freak me out sometimes. Well, antiques can make me feel really, really depressed.
Why?
I don't know. I'm not sure. They just do.
I mean, the programs about them make me depressed, but I'm not so sure the actual antique.
No, yeah. If I spend too long in some kind of warehouse somewhere, having a nice afternoon, and there are too many antiques around me, I feel a bit claustrophobic. Yep.
Okay. Next thing is, ever seen a ghost had a strange spooky anything?
Over to James.
Yeah, I've had a few. Yeah, when we were doing Gold Against the Soul, the second album, we're in a studio called Hook End Manor, and when I got into my room, I had just a very strange feeling when I got in there. And anyway, every night I'd wake up and every night I'd go to bed and I'd always close my curtains and leave the bedside lamp on because I'd always go to sleep reading. Right. And every morning I would wake up, the bedside lamp would be off and the curtains would be open. And I kept locking all the doors, leaving the keys in the doors, and every morning the curtains would be open, the bedside lamp would be off.
And it is notoriously haunted.
Yeah, it's notoriously haunted, yeah.
Why, and we put you in the haunted room.
Yeah, and they put me in this room at the end of a 30-foot corridor, which was just red and oriental.
Like The Shining.
Yeah, and I would just get knocks on my door, and the corridor was too long for somebody to run away and all that. So, yeah, I kept the producer, Dave Aringer, up until about kind of 4 o'clock, 4 o'clock each night, for the first week of recording, and at the end of the week he was just like, why are you staying up so late? And I was like, Dave, my room is haunted. So that was mine. It was a bit of a bad feeling doing that record.
Okay, now again, to those of us outside, we've loved what you've done. You've taken us on many an adventure. Yeah. Some we've enjoyed more than others, much the same as yourselves, really. Yeah. What's been the highlight and low light from as far as you're concerned? Best bit and worst bit in the business?
The worst bit is what happened to Richey, obviously, I think, really. And the best bit was, if you tolerate this, children will be next, being number one not only in Britain, but there's so many other places around Europe as well. Yeah. That felt like a distillation of all the things we'd ever want to achieve, I suppose. I
think also getting the Brit Awards for Everything Must Go. It was a pretty mad evening. We were just surrounded by the Spice Girls and stuff like that, and we really weren't part of that world at all at that point. It was only 2 years ago we'd made the Holy Bible, so to all of a sudden be playing Design for Life at the end of the show to 18 million people on the telly around the world and all that, there's been a lot of highlights, to be honest, playing the Millennium Stadium in Cardiff. That was pretty special, and also doing the duet with Nina for You Love Alone Is Not Enough. I think that really felt like a special comeback. We'd been in the doldrums a bit, and this Swedish goddess kind of lifted us out of the mire with one of our best tunes. Yeah, for sure. Have you got where you want to be? Because once again, you're laconic. Well, here we go. Yeah, you give the impression of everything's going pretty well. But are you where you? And I know you say this thing about ambition, and that's inside every song you ever write, and it shines from there. What will get you to the place where you really want to be? Or are you already there?
No, I suppose kind of like this just having a number one single used to mean so much.
That's not going to happen anymore.
And that's not going to happen anymore because the charts is just such a different kind of beast now, and they don't mean as much anymore.
No, it means nothing.
I think the bottom line is we still want to just always try and have a number one album, or we just still want to try and transfer that energy from us to 20,000 people in the crowd and just see them move as one. Yeah. And I just never want to lose that power, I suppose. That's just, and it is crucial to us. I want to see Wales win the Rugby World Cup once in my lifetime. It's a lot of really unreasonable things that we're expecting.
But you seem in a good place. You seem quite happy. You must be happy with the new stuff.
Yeah. I think it was quite tense at times in the studio towards the end of the record. We were putting so much into it, because we were arranging ourselves.
Yeah.
All the choirs and the orchestration were from Wales, so we just took control of everything, really.
Right.
So it was fraught, but I think when we sat back and listened to it when it was all mixed, we did feel pretty. God, we thought, well, it's our 10th record. We've done all we can. We have pretty much made the best record I think we're capable of at the moment. And you don't always feel like that, but I think we did with this one.
No, the absolute class. Well, gentlemen, thanks for taking the time to have a chat. It's always a joy, and I know how I've spoken to a lot of people who are classed as the great gods of the music business, and the ones that are really good never quite feel that they've got enough. And you are in exactly the right category to be in.
I'm a greedy Welsh troll.
Never let it change. Thanks for coming in, guys.
Cheers,
Pleasure. Thanks, mate.